All right, I guess that we are live. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for this masterclass webinar. I'm Irek and I'll be hosting today's session. So the purpose of this webinar is to show you 4 of the most common design frameworks in omnichannel retail and share ideas on how to transform a basic loyalty program design into a better, high-performing version. And joining us an expert leading the session today is Philip Schelper, CEO of Loyalty and Reward Co., a leading loyalty consulting firm and author of Loyalty Programs, The Complete Guide, my personal favorite resource on loyalty program design. Hi, Phil. Thank you so much for leading the session.
Thanks, Rick. Great to be here and great talking about omnichannel retail, one of my favorite subjects.
Awesome. So let me briefly go through the agenda. So we are going to cover 4 loyalty program design frameworks and provide corresponding loyalty program examples. Also, together with Bart, we are going to show some creative campaign configurations. So we are going to cover loyalty currencies, account credits, status tiers, and gamification. So I guess that without further ado, we can jump in and start with loyalty currencies. So what are loyalty currencies and how do they function within a loyalty program?
Yeah, so loyalty currencies is one of the main loyalty program designs. Most people out there would have had some experience with earning points or earning miles as part of engaging with a loyalty program. The original loyalty currency back in the 1850s by B.T. Babbitt, who was the inventor of the modern loyalty program, he actually got people to cut off the logos from the bars of soap that he sold them and send those in exchange for a little colour picture advertising their product. And then over the years, there's been tokens and coupons and stamps and tickets and all sorts of things that the companies have used. These days, the main currency is miles and stamps. People spend, they're awarded these, they can accumulate them and then redeem them for a future reward as a way to feel recognised for being loyal to a particular company.
Awesome. So how do retail businesses typically use loyalty currencies to engage customers?
Well, a lot of them use them quite badly. So if you think about the modern loyalty program, which really kicked off with American Airlines launching AA Advantage in the 1980s, they developed miles as a way to recognize people for how many miles that they had flown, and obviously have built out a lot more sophistication there. They provided the opportunity for members to also earn miles for renting cars, staying in hotels, and then spending on credit cards. And so they provided lots and lots of opportunities for people to earn points, and then the rewards that they can access, free travel, is highly desirable. A lot of companies have taken that model and transferred it onto their own operating model, and often it doesn't transfer that well. So what we see within retail is a lot of people joining these programs to earn points, for instance. They aren't spending a lot of money with the company, and so they earn a small number of points. They realize that it's not worth very much, and so they end up disengaging from the program. And so companies need to go back to the fundamentals of what makes a good loyalty program, which is delivering value. Value drives loyalty program engagement. So if the analysis that you're doing around the program is that the majority of your members aren't really going to be earning a lot of this currency and therefore not being able to access a good reward, then the program's unlikely to work well. And unfortunately, retail is littered with these types of programs, which gives points and miles a bad name, but underlying it is the lack of value.
Sure, I get it. So in a way, for our listeners, if we could perhaps share some of the tips. So like, what steps could retailers take to improve the design of their loyalty currencies?
Yeah, exactly right. And it's the upside of points and miles and other currencies is they're incredibly flexible. You can use them not only to reward members for transacting, but also for non-transactional behavior as well, for joining the program, for filling in their profile, for providing their birthday, completing a survey, following social media. There's so many different gamified type actions that can be rewarded with a loyalty currency to influence people to want to engage. It's very easy to spin up bonus campaigns. So it might be double points this weekend or a variation of that. So you can turn that on and off really quickly. There's also something called the representativeness heuristic. Sorry, getting that one out, which basically says that humans equate lots of something with big. So if you're a loyalty program operator and you say to someone, for every $100 you spend, we'll give you $1 back, that actually doesn't sound that appealing. But if you say,
not really.
For every $100 you spend, we'll give you 100 points worth $1. The 100 sounds much bigger than the $1, and so people are a lot more motivated. We see a lot of examples of loyalty programs providing competitions where members can earn 1 million points. And in the mind of most consumers, they'll be like, wow, that kind of sounds like $1 million. But in fact, it's probably only around $5,000 to $8,000 worth of value there. So that works very well to stimulate consumer engagement for a fairly low cost. So definitely a lot of opportunity there if executed correctly, but you do need to deliver the value, otherwise people disengage.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much. Is there any particular loyalty program that you could share as an example? So, something to get inspired by, perhaps.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, look, we see a lot of companies using these programs. Typically where they work best is where companies have access to what we call efficient rewards. So that's where the member values the reward highly, but it doesn't cost the company too much. So obviously airlines have empty seats that they can't sell that they can give away. You've got car rental companies that can upgrade to a better quality car that they weren't going to rent. You've got hotels with empty rooms that weren't going to get booked out. Cinema is a really good one. They can give away movie tickets and popcorn that has ridiculous margin on it. The example I'm going to put forward is one of my favorite loyalty program industries, which is cosmetics. Cosmetics have access to enormous amounts of efficient rewards, primarily through the samples that are provided by suppliers who are desperate to get the end customer to try out their product and hopefully adopt it. And Sephora does a really great job of this. So members can earn points for transacting and for other different types of non-transactional activities. And then Sephora has a rewards boutique where they can go on and redeem those points. And it's carefully structured so that the rewards within the boutique are generally fairly low cost, and so they're quite accessible. And if someone is transacting online, they can just add them to their order on top of that as well, which means to the member, they feel like they are getting some good value out of the program, irrespective of how often they might be transacting. The other thing that we love about Sephora is they've given themselves permission to constantly evolve the program, and they proudly declare that they're going to keep changing it to try and make it better and as appealing and as relevant to members as they possibly can. And so every time that they make a change to the program, it generates a lot of buzz on social media, which is all free advertising and publicity for them. So they're doing a really great job, and people could do well to look at how they're structuring it and get some ideas from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing those insights. And now I'm going to hand it over to Bart, who will walk us through an example of a loyalty campaign configuration. So, Bart, feel free to take it away.
Hello, everyone. Here is how can you set up loyalty points wallet. So first, let's go into the wallets. And as you can see, we have one default wallet created automatically. However, we want to add another one. So let's head into the add new wallet type. And right here, all we have to do is to define a wallet name. That can be loyalty point wallet. Then we have to define the wallet code. Wallet code is the main identifier for the wallet. So we can keep it as loyalty points wallet. And then we'll be defining the unit's singular name and the plural name. So we want to keep the naming straight and similar. So let's keep the loyalty point as a singular name and loyalty points as a plural name. Then we have to spend some time about thinking about the expiration and pending method. As you can see, we have few expiration methods for our units. However, for this example, we will leave them as they are. There is also additional thing that we can think a little bit. So it's a global units limitation, as well as member units limitation. It will allow us to budget our units better. However, for this example, let's leave them as unlimited. Then we can choose if we want our units to become negative after spending some points. However, once again, for this example, we will leave it as it is. So all we have to do is to make this wallet active and click Add Wallet Type.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, Bart, for the configuration. Okay, so the second design framework that we are going to discuss is account credits. Phil, what are account credits and how do they work within loyalty programs?
Yeah, so account credits are parallel design to loyalty currencies. The difference there is that instead of the member getting something that is artificial like points or miles, they're told exactly how much the value of what they're holding in the account is. So for instance, if someone spends $100 and they earn an account credit, they might be told, you've now got $5 in your account that you can use on your next transaction. Companies are able to put all different types of rules around it. So it might be you need to accumulate $10 worth of credit before it can be unlocked and be used in that way, or you might need to spend a minimum of $50 in order to be able to apply the credit against it so that they can make it as cost effective as possible. But that is the base design is by spending, we'll give you some of what you spend back and you can then use that on your next transaction. And the advantage of account credit over points and miles is the transparency. Customers don't have to wonder how much are the points worth, how much are the miles worth, what can I do with them? They can instantly see, I've got $5 or $10 or $20 in my account. So next time I need to buy something, I'm going to make sure that I go and buy that. It feels like I've got some money in my pocket. And so it can work very effectively.
Okay, so thank you for explaining the difference. So what are some of the common mistakes that retailers make when implementing account credits?
I think the main mistake is to not provide enough value back. So if someone is only earning a small amount of credit, maybe $1 or $2, then it might feel like pocket change. And so the consumers don't really care too much and it's fairly easy to ignore. So ensuring that the amount of value returned is sufficient is good. It's coming back once again to that representativeness heuristic. You can sometimes get away with giving $1 or $2 worth of points, but it doesn't work quite as well for credit, once again, because of that transparency. So retailers, if they're going to use this structure, they need to make sure that they're being fairly generous in the amount that they give back to consumers. Putting the proper rules around it, so making people strive to earn a minimum in order to unlock that is pretty important as well. And really calling out the value and not just making it feel like another form of discount is important. So people feel like they have genuinely got some good value out of a transaction is something that businesses need to invest more in doing as well.
All right, thank you. So, is there any particular loyalty program that comes to your mind as an example when it comes to a proper use of account credits?
Yeah, it's actually one of our clients, Oz Hair and Beauty. So they sell all different types of beauty products. It's a type of company where customers can get access to pretty good value and discounts. And so it is something where there should be a lot of repeat purchase behavior. They were a fairly new company and they came to us wanting to look at implementing a loyalty program because they were getting very low rates of repeat purchase behavior. And so what they wanted to do with the loyalty program is to solve that problem and get people coming back again and again. They had talked about implementing a points and tiers program, and we convinced them that that was probably not going to be the best idea for them because they really needed to get that very strong cut through with people who are only transacting with them once or twice and then they're not really coming back. So we managed to convince them to implement a account credit program. They had a pretty good return that they could provide to members. So if someone did transact for $50 or $100, they were going to get quite a decent amount of credit back into their account that would make it worthwhile coming back to them. And the results that they got on that program were immediate and profound. A significant uptick in the number of members who started coming back. It really did turn things around for the company, enable them to grow quite significantly. And for that very, very simple design, which was, hey, thanks for transacting with us. You've now got $10 in your accounts, and next time you're wanting one of these everyday products that you use all the time, then make sure you come to us because you've got $10 waiting here. And just that very well-refined psychology of hey, there's money in an account here and it's your money. If it's structured in the right way and communicated in the right way for the right type of companies, such as omnichannel retail, can be incredibly powerful.
Absolutely, yeah. I can see that. How, let's say, $10, the value of $10 is easy to comprehend versus, let's say, 1,000 points, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. We've seen through market research that consumers have a very good memory and structure in their minds for where their money is being held. Most consumers have a pretty clear idea of how much money they've got in different bank accounts, how much they owe on their credit card, how much they might have in shares. And this extends to loyalty programs as well. So how many points you're holding in your account, and in this instance, how much money you have in your account, how much account credit that you have, and be able to do a quick calculation about how much you will have to pay in order to buy those essential products. So tapping into that and getting inside the consumer's mind that there's some money in their account, in their wallet, it can be a really strong motivator.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. So now let's look at how this works in action with a campaign setup from Bart.
In Open Loyalty, you don't have to choose between loyalty point wallets and loyalty credit wallets. You can create both in the same tenant and in the same program. All you have to do is follow the procedure of creating wallet. So all we have to do is create new wallet name. Once again, create new wallet code for the loyalty credits wallet, and add singular name and plural name for that. So that will be loyalty credits and loyalty credits. Once again, we can think about expiration and pending method, as well as the global units limitation and member units limitation. But for this example, let's leave them as they are. And at this point, we can also decide if we want to enable the negative units balance. And if not, we can activate a new wallet type and add it.
Okay, thank you, Bart. Thanks for showing the configuration. And now we can move on to status tiers. So, Phil, what are status tiers and how do they function within a loyalty program?
Yeah, so status tiers once again is something that was is fairly recent. Was something that American Airlines did introduce as part of their loyalty program back in the 80s to recognise their higher value members, and it's carried through to a lot of different industries. What a lot of people who are implementing status tiers into different industries outside of airline don't realise is that the percentage of the total base that actually gets a higher status tier other than the base tier is actually pretty small. So if you've got a program where you've got bronze, silver, gold, platinum, then silver, gold, platinum is typically less than 10% of the total customer base. And if you're platinum, that's generally around about 0.5%. Now, when we tell people that, people are generally quite shocked, particularly if they're in retail, because their status tier program will have 15% in the top tier, another 25% in the second tier. And it's actually a pretty poor design, because when people are thinking that I'm in the top tier, their expectations of the value that they're going to get are pretty high, and they're generally disappointed by the lack of value that they actually receive. So we think status tiers for omnichannel retail is fraught with danger, and companies should think very carefully about implementing it, unless if you genuinely have a really great amount of value to provide. Something to watch out for. We see a lot of disastrous status tier programs out there, that's for sure.
Okay, so would you say that, let's say, the common mistake comes from the design and being over optimistic about how many people will reach the higher tiers, or are there any other, let's say, common mistakes that you have seen when it comes to retailers trying to use tiers in their programs?
Yes, I think the most common mistake is over-promising on the value, allowing people to move up tiers too easily, so that when they actually unlock the tier, their expectations are not met, and that can be a real catalyst for a disengagement of the program altogether. So you should only really be looking at a status tier program if you've genuinely got meaningful value, or you do what the airlines do and only apply it to your really, really premium customers and look after them really well. That can work well when a company has what we call a Pareto dynamic within their customer spend. So this is where a small number of their base are accounting for a very large percentage of their spend, so the so-called 80-20 rule. We generally don't see the actual 80-20 rule play out, but we do see some pretty pronounced dynamics. So we've got a customer at the moment where the top 5% of their customer base account for 45% of their total spend. The top 10% stretches it up to about 60%. And we've had one client where the top 5% accounted for 75% of the total spend. That's a pretty extreme example. But companies considering a status tier program, the first thing that they should do is do that Pareto analysis and just get a sense of what that pyramid is across their customer base. And that enables them to provide some insight into how status tiers could be structured. If it's fairly flat, and we see it flat across telcos, utilities, insurance, those types of companies, then it's a bad fit. Don't even go there. But if you do have quite a pronounced Pareto dynamic within your business, then tiers can work. You just need to be very conservative in terms of who you let into those top tiers and concentrate the value on that small number of incredibly valuable customers and try and lock them in.
Perfect. Yeah, so actually I was going to ask you, about the steps of how retailers could improve their design of status tiers. So obviously you have actually answered my question. Is there anything else that, apart from the Pareto rule, is there anything else that might help retailers in perhaps looking at their current status tiers and then improving them slightly?
Yeah, so particularly for omnichannel retail, we're actually big fans of freemium premium models for status tiers. One of our favorite loyalty program examples from all around the world is AMC Stubs cinema program in the US. So they've got a free tier where members can join and get access to some value. They've then got a mid-pay tier where they get a multiplier on the freemium. And then they've got their top tier, which enables them to unlimited movies. So for real hardcore cinema goers, they can basically get unlimited movies or a certain number of movies every month, as well as free popcorn refills and soda refills and that sort of thing. The great thing about that is it provides an incremental revenue stream for the cinema. It definitely ties people into share of wallet. So it's much less likely that people are going to choose to go to a different cinema. And so they get all of that revenue coming through from that target base. It helps to upsell popcorn and drinks and candy bar, which is where there's really, really healthy margin for cinemas. So it's all really positive, and it's worked very effectively for them over the years as well. So it's certainly worth looking if you're an omnichannel retailer, looking at whether a premium paid subscription tier model could work for your organization.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So now Bart will guide us through a possible configuration.
Okay, let's take a look at our tier set configuration and our tiers conditions. So we have 3 tiers, and you don't need any points to reach the first tier. You will be automatically added to it. The second one, you need 200 active units from Loyalty Points wallet. And for the third one, you need 300 active units in Loyalty Points wallet. But how can we make reaching the top tiers more difficult? So first of all, let's go into the tier set configuration. As you can see, we have 1 condition at the moment, and in total we have 4. So we have 3 more to choose from. So we can choose total earned unit, total spending, and months since joining the program. In this example, let's choose months since joining the program. As soon as we'll add another tier set condition, we can save the changes. And as you can see, additional column appeared. So right now we can go into editing the tiers, and we can change the tiers conditions. So let's leave the first and the second tier as they are, and let's change the condition for a top tier. So you will need 600 points to join the top tier, as well as 6 months of being in the program. Okay, right here we can save the changes, and as you can see, the conditions changed. So right now, reaching the top tier is much more difficult, but also much more rewarding.
Bart, thank you so much for presenting the configuration. And we can carry on into gamification, because that was the 4th loyalty program design framework that we wanted to focus on. So Phil, what is gamification and how does it apply to loyalty programs?
Yeah, so gamification, the official definition of gamification is the application of game mechanics across non-game settings. So effectively what that means is turning a boring or mundane task into a game in order to make it more engaging and exciting. I use this all of the time in trying to train my children how to behave like normal people and not like animals, and have had some success with it, I must say. But within an omnichannel retail context, it is thinking about what it is that you want customers to do. So we define at Loyalty and Reward Co, we define a loyalty program as a desirable behavior stimulation program. And when we're working with our clients, we look at the customer journey and we say at each stage of that journey, what is it that you want the customer to do? And we then design the program to stimulate those specific behaviors. The advantage of that is that once a program's launched, you've got a very clear metric structure to determine whether the program's doing what it needs to do. But you can also identify where it's not working and then address that with a different approach. And so it becomes a really nice blueprint structure for design. Gamification is increasingly becoming a core part of that overall design process by encouraging people to engage in non-transactional behaviors, as discussed earlier, completing a profile, sharing data, following on social, filling in surveys, whatever it might be. So whatever you want your customer to do, however you want them to behave outside of specifically doing transactions, then a gamification layer will help to achieve that.
Perfect. So what are some common mistakes retailers make when implementing gamification?
I think the number one mistake that they make is just to put some of those gamification elements in and then not track or determine whether they're actually doing anything and not have a clear understanding of what it is that they are trying to achieve. So we come across a lot of loyalty programs where they have some basic gamification elements. Members aren't really engaging with them. They're just there. They've kind of forgotten what their overall targets were. They've not changed anything. And so they just become these pointless features within the program design. So really the main thing is in implementing gamification features, having a very, very clear idea of what the overall objective is. If it works, amazing, do more of it. If it's not working, well, then change it out and try something fresh so that you're on an evolutionary pathway towards best practice with your loyalty program. One of the interesting things that we're seeing at the moment is a resurgence in badges. We're seeing a number of different companies around the world introducing badges in different ways, probably brought on by things like the Nike app, the Adidas app, Peloton, and so on and so forth. So a lot of fitness type apps are awarding badges for different types of achievements. Everyone's gushing about Duolingo and what they're doing with badges and all that sort of thing. So there's a lot of that happening. We looked at a case study of Zappos, who implemented a badges layer within their overall loyalty program, and it absolutely fell flat, so much so that they ended up removing it because what they were doing was providing people with badges but not explaining what the badges were actually for or why they'd earned it. So it was very poorly structured in terms of clear communication, the pathway to earning and what those badges actually meant. And so they ended up moving away. So with gamification, it's important to have very clear communication, very achievable goals, sort of snackable type benefits associated with that, and get people understanding that if they do these specific behaviors, there is meaningful rewards associated with it. So there's no confusion, because simplicity is really a critical aspect of loyalty program engagement. The program's not simple to join, to interact with, to engage, to understand, then you'll not get the engagement that you're looking for. And gamification can make something very complex very quickly.
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely. I think that I've seen it where you actually get a reward or like a badge, but you don't really understand why that happened.
Yeah.
And when it comes to gamification, the important part is that you truly understand what you are trying to achieve. So actually what you are working towards. And then I believe that your effort, I mean, you can just make a decision on, okay, I will work towards that, but only if you totally understand what the goal is.
Yeah,
I'm really curious about the use of gamification with kids, but I absolutely know that it's not the webinar for that. So perhaps sometime in the future we are going to talk about this particular aspect. But just to make sure that our audience, mostly retailers understand on like how they could perhaps look at their current loyalty programs and what they could do in order to make them better. So in a way, if you could in a way, like, sum up like the strategies that retailers could use to improve the design of the gamified experiences.
Yeah.
What could they do at this point to make sure that it's better?
Yeah, so I think a really good case study to help explain that is Hugo Boss. They've launched their Hugo Boss XP program in the UK. They're running it as an MVP at the moment, but I understand that they're gearing up to roll it out globally. And they've just done an exceptional job in designing out that program. So members are invited to engage in different activities. That might be going into the store and just checking in on their big cube that they have in front of POS. It might be transactional, other non-transactional behaviors. So a whole heap of different things. They earn these NFT cubes, and the design of them is absolutely exquisite. So you look at the cubes and you just want one. And the possibilities for this program are infinite. We got the opportunity to spend some time providing some guidance on the design of it, and the ideas that the team have there are just mind-blowing and truly exciting. So I think what they've done well, they've made it simple in terms of clearly explaining to members what they need to do to earn the different badges. They've made it rewarding. The badge itself, or the NFT cube itself, is really attractive and desirable. But then beyond that, they're also redeemable for rewards as well. So that value layer is there. It's emotional. Hugo Boss has a huge fan base and people who religiously shop there. So being able to engage with the program and get closer to the brand, get access to exclusive NFTs and be able to show those off as a form of trophy value helps to build that emotional engagement with the brand. And then I think the main thing for me is there's just way too many boring loyalty programs out there. Oh my God. It just makes me so upset how boring so many loyalty programs are, because it's just being killed by internal bureaucracy and people not wanting to take a risk. The thing I love most about Hugo Boss XP is it's incredibly stimulating. It's exciting, it's fresh, it's very out there. If you look at most loyalty programs across the fashion industry, really you should be shocked by how underwhelming they are and how unfashion industry like they are, because the fashion industry is it's the cutting edge of creativity, but for some reason it doesn't transfer over to loyalty programs. So really great that Hugo Boss has taken a really creative stance there, and hopefully other fashion brands will follow soon after.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing the insights and also the great example from Hugo Boss. So with that covered, let's turn it over to Bart to dive into some campaign configurations.
Once we created our tiers and wallets, we can enable our members to earn units. So how to do it? We can go into the campaigns and click Add New Campaign. So let's maybe allow our members to earn double points for the first transaction. So let's choose the campaign type of direct campaign and the trigger the purchase transaction. So right here, we can define the name of our campaign. And that will be double points. Start date, you can choose whatever date you would like. And let's go into the rules. In rules, we are able to define conditions and effects that our campaign will act on. So the condition we're interested in is to choosing only the first transaction that our member is completing. So let's look for the number of purchases. And in conditions, we can choose less or equal 1. So only the first transaction will be digested by the campaign. And in effects, let's add units and choose a wallet type that we want to grant those units to. And then from the templates, we can choose 1 point for every 1 unit of currency spent. But we wanted to add double the points. So let's double click on that and modify the value. After the value is modified, we can click Save Effect. And as you can see, our rule is complete. So all we have to do right now is to activate the campaign and add this campaign.
Okay, thank you so much, Bart, for presenting the configuration. So I guess that now it's the moment to recap. So you know the 4 most common loyalty program design frameworks. As you can see, a proper design is critical to the performance and success of a loyalty program. When it comes to design, you can enlist the help of professionals like Phil and the team at Loyalty and Reward Co. And when it comes to technology, you can definitely reach out to Open Loyalty to discuss possible configurations and how to translate your design into an effective loyalty program. So feel free to reach out and let's move the discussion further. Phil, is there anything else you would like to share before we wrap up this webinar?
Yeah, so the last thing that I'd say is where a lot of companies go instantly wrong with planning their loyalty program is they start by thinking about what the design of the program should be. Should it be points? Should it be miles? Should it be account credit? Should it be gamification? Should it be discounts? And so on and so forth. Actually, where you should start the journey is by saying, what is it that we are trying to achieve with this program? Are we wanting to acquire new customers? Are we wanting to stimulate incremental spend? Are we wanting to reduce our churn rate? Are we wanting to boost advocacy? Is it all about collecting and utilizing data to build out better omnichannel personalization capabilities? So getting really clear on what the overall objectives are. And then in parallel, as I said earlier, getting really clear on the types of behaviors that you want to stimulate from your customer base. So once you're clear on those 2 things, you're then in a much better position to be able to determine what is the right loyalty program design to apply in order to stand the best chance of success. So in Loyalty Programs, a Complete Guide, Chapter 8, we lay out 10 major loyalty program design frameworks, and I think there's 27 sub-frameworks underneath that, and an infinite number of varieties. So just starting with saying we want a points program, you're instantly doomed to failure. Start with what you're wanting to achieve, and then turn to focus on which program design will help you best do that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for leading this masterclass session. And thank you for joining us, to everyone who is in the audience, and see you soon at the next masterclass webinar.